Oh, there you go, love. Peace. Okay, I'm hoping that I can do 4 on this one too. I didn't know if it would be a difference or not on this new page. You look gorgeous, my darling. My goodness.
Thank you.
Oh,
I miss you already.
I know. I'm like, oh, I think I left all of my juju in.
She has that effect on you.
Oh my gosh. I have never, like, my recovery time is like, okay, can we get up and do something? What is happening?
I know. That's the funny part about living here. You're just constantly in this state of awe that you have to like structure yourself or it just doesn't happen.
Yeah, it was. I'm trying to add them. I'm trying to see if I can add them. I don't know what's happening, but I don't even know where Joy is. Yeah, I don't know how you do it. Like,
sometimes I don't.
woo! I was like, I give it up to you. You are the most. I was just like, when I got home, I was like, I don't know how she did it. Like hosting 2 parties like that. Oh my God! Still doing calls for clients. That was amazing. Yeah, I give it to you on that one. That was big queen energy all day, big goddess energy all day.
You know, it's so much of my old life that it was just crazy to step into that from my old life, and it was like, and it's just a lot of balance, especially like negotiating contracts and new events and like, you know, deals and everything at the same time, but allowing time for the sweetness in your own life. Like, you know, I have this new boo thing and like this whole new relationship kind of thing, and it's so new and fun. So it's like, how do I, you know, give yourself but keep yourself? And so it's a constant practice. You know, it's okay that you might not be able to be everything with everybody, but everybody's okay. Like the old me would just be like, you know, making sure that everybody had the most perfect experience. And I wanted that. Hi. But it's also like understanding, like, I have to have my time to do my things as well. So it was a really good exercise for me about like going into this busy part, because I've been blessed with like so much grace, but Spirit's like, it's time to get busy. So I'm like, okay. Hi.
The gang's all here.
We're all here.
Oh
my gosh. Lucretia was just talking about her hosting abilities and balancing all the things in between. Goodness. It was amazing. Like seeing her flow like that in between 2 parties and then taking care of herself and then being with her lover. Yeah. It was like, yo, what the heck? Who does this?
And business. It's crazy because the first party had like a second. It was a whole thing. It took like a month really to plan the first group because they had a second line. And like, so it's the band, it's this, it's that, it's people from all over the country. And it was so crazy just trying to integrate it all. And like, but you know, the great part, it was just like seeing how much New Orleans has loved me and being able to gift people these experiences that they wouldn't have just walking in the city. You know, like you wouldn't just, you know about Cinnamon and get sung to in the Voodoo Museum.
Yeah, right. Come on.
You know, and get a personal party. And like we're talking about like Joy, and Joy came down to New Orleans and they visited me for Joy's 40th birthday and we celebrated. And then I had another beloved for my friend today.
Go get your crown. Go get it. Go get it.
Yeah, go get it.
Go get it.
And so I had another party at the same time, another beloved whose birthday was 2 days before. And they had like, you know, this whole second line and shopping and museums and things like that. So we were just like talking about time management and balance. Yeah.
Yay, there it is.
Woo!
It's
40.
Hi,
amazing.
Hi, Valerie. Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hey, everybody's here.
And so being in New Orleans, it's just beautiful to be able to introduce people to like my life here. Because, you know, all of you have been a part of the process of conjuring and healing this past year. and to be able to like really show all the important people in my life what my life looks like now, as opposed to the, you know, hot mess I was a year ago. Like, where am I going to live? I'm ending this relationship. I'm homeless during a pandemic, you know, and like, it's just a living testament to how hard when you just cut things out that no longer serve you and really truly learn to like seek out that love that loves you, how beautiful you are. Yeah. No matter where you are.
Absolutely.
Harnessing all of that power, right? Taking, like you said, cutting off when no longer serves, creating those boundaries, taking care of self, all of those things, and still pushing through and doing the work, you know, for yourself, for others, and then, you know, keep going through with your goals. Like that's harnessing all of that energy. Yes, we're seeing that manifestation beautifully through you. Appreciate that. It was such a beautiful time.
Now
it was amazing.
I know. I'm glad you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh my God.
Sending you love.
I was sending love too. I know that the next trip is going to be really good though.
We're coming to you. We're coming to Miami.
And the next trip is going to be really good too.
Yes, we're already talking about it. We're already like, yep, next trip. You're going to Florida. We're doing all the Mexico things. Like, we're doing all the things. So we definitely need it. But I really wanted to, just give much gratitude for my sisters in all spaces. You know, those that were, you know, came with me, and those that were holding it down, and the energy. Those of you that chimed in. I know we didn't do a regular Tuesday tea the last couple of weeks. And I planned on doing one when we were there, but I did a couple live things as Lucretia was taking us through the city. And they're still posted. I'm going to switch them over to this page, but you can see all of the pictures and celebration and all those things on the page. But yeah, it was just one of the things where you had to be there. So it was like really being present. That's what I felt was like a huge, like, just affirmation for me there. Just being able to be there with you on ease, and you're hosting and just taking care of me, and we took care of each other. I just wanted to just be present. Like, I didn't want to do anything outside of just like being there with us in that city and embracing all that it had to offer. So I put what I could on there, what I felt.
I still have tons of pictures to like post and things like
Yay!
that. I have some of those, and like just in downloading, I'm like, oh my gosh, and this happened and that happened. So I keep looking. People are like, what did you do today? And I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know.
It was so good. It was so yummy. Yeah, it's always good to be with people that make vacations easy. Make it easy. Make it fun. Make you feel celebrated. You know, that's the thing. What we're talking about, like the balance between that. So even taking the commitment to say, okay, we're gonna go, we're gonna show up. Or Lucretia balancing clients. Joy was doing the same thing, talking to her partners and stuff like that. And I'm the only one that was like, I'm done. Like, I ain't talking to nobody.
Yeah, you were off work mode.
I'm not working.
I'm not doing it.
You're like, where's the next beignet place?
Beignet break.
Beignet stop in between y'all calls. We gonna do that. but you know, all different levels of how, you know, we balance it. You know, some of us, you know, we got to keep going. We got to keep in the flow. Things are hot, and you know, we got to keep it going. And then also being with some of the natives, in which, you know, we had a beautiful couple that took care of us. We had in our transport and everything, we had people that, you know, showed up in different ways. And just hearing from some of the natives and watching their hustle, like their hustle. When I'm talking about hustle, like from one gig to the other, to the other, to the other, and just offering. I know I had to take a pause moment, because at one point in time, I had asked one of the natives, you know, I'm like, what do you do to take care of yourself? And it was just this immediate, like, nothing. What do you mean? I don't have time to take care of myself. And I felt this, like, and I had to come back, because that's not the second time. I've been checked on asking somebody that before, because I have to recognize my own privilege and my own, you know, where I have placed myself to be able to do that. And not everybody has the opportunity or even wants to take that time, because it does take being still. It takes prioritizing. It takes taking things off your plate. that you might feel guilty about doing so. So, you know, to those people, I just want to give out shout out to those that took care of us there also. And those that feel like, you know, I know we do this talk about balancing wellness, self-care, and all these different things. And I understand also that's a hard topic for people. You know, I understand that that's a non-negotiable for people in some ways, in some parts of their life. And so I feel grateful and honored. I never want to misstep on understanding that in this Black body, I'm grateful that I have taken the opportunity or taken reins to do that, to rest, to play, to celebrate, to do nothing, to whatever, you know. So I just wanted to put that one out there because that was a pause moment for me. I'd be like, oh, let me reel that in, you know.
Of really just living a life full of pleasure and joy, and how hard I've worked to get here, because you tend to feel still guilty about that. Like, I come from a line of farmers and workers who work till they die. They don't vacation. That's just the lineage I come from. And for me to have a totally different lifestyle that doesn't make sense to them, and half the time doesn't make sense to me. But, you know, I had a close beloved here at the end of it all. I was like, you know, I have this new relationship that's just so much pleasure and joy and like ease and like all the things that's just, you know, crazy, and like all these things are coming to me effortlessly through like ceremony and things like that. And like it makes you uneasy in some ways, and I have to like talk myself through it. And, you know, my friend was like, you know, you teach about abundance and pleasure and all these things, yet you're getting it and you're questioning it. So it's always constantly, the teacher is still the student. You know, it still is like this like self-worth practice that I don't have to just go out and like, you know, do the things, but I need to like make sure that I'm preparing for the things. And like, you know, I'm like real bad. I have a great relationship and shitty business, or shitty business and a great relationship. And now I'm forced to like try to balance it out in this beautiful world that just wants to love me. And so I'm like, it's all the things that you prayed for, but you still have to pray for the strength to accept the things.
That's the wholeness practice, right? That's the having those things in wholeness and health, having the healthy relationships, having the healthy business and finances, having the healthy body, healthy mind, all of that stuff. And it takes time to cultivate throughout her life. I remember this part in Spike Lee, She's Gotta Have It, where she was talking to her mother, who her mother was finally able to like go back into the stage and do some of the things, and her husband was mad, whatever. And she was like, so mom, she was like, so, you know, so how does it feel to have it all? And she was like, I learned that you can have it all, but that's not necessarily all at the same time.
That's what I was just going to ask.
Yeah.
That's what I was just going to ask. Like when, you know, we're talking about living a holistic life, meaning those separate facets, like, in terms of where we all are right now, did it happen all at once for you, or did like one facet kind of like snowball into the others, or like what was the process for all of us, you know, to get to like here and now of like joy and pleasure and this new like spiritual freedom?
Yeah.
Go, Erica. Erica's like, no.
I'll let you know when I get there. Listen, I tell you guys all the time when I come on here, you all are like the examples of what life can be for me. I am very much in the stage right now where there are portions of life that are great, and then there are portions of life that I'm still like, what is going on? I need somebody to fix you because I cannot do this today. And it's just, I think for me, I'm at the stage of life where a lot of things are changing, and there's no true moment of stabilization, because it's very much in the flow of things. Like either I'm at the stage where I'm going to essentially be evolving, or my family members are evolving. You know, I think the one thing that is pretty like cool, and I won't use the word standard, but I will say like free flowing and pretty like consistent right now is the area of love and relationship, because it took me a very long time to get to that point where I was like, oh, okay, I understand now that you are a mirror of who I am, and if I love myself enough, then this relationship will become a very great manifestation of what that will be. But everything else
work in progress.
Ooh, yeah, I'll listen from now on. You guys let me know how to
That's
get
the
there.
work though. That's it. I mean, I think all of us are like experiencing that. It's up and down, and like, or it's just having these moments of where it feels like you might have it together, and then you're like, oh, wait a minute, let me check myself. Like it's something, but I got to keep going. I got to keep working on it. I got to keep whatever. A relationship will present that to you. You know, something in your finance and your business will present that to you. A client will present that to you. So it's a constant day-to-day flow, and it's just and it looks different. I know for me, defining my success in my business looks different for me now than it did years ago. And we were talking about this while Enola was like, for me before, I had this very grandiose idea of what my purpose was, you know. And so everything that I wanted to do had to be, you know, this huge thing. It had to have this huge outcome, this really huge reach or whatever it was. And it doesn't look like that for me now. So if I was to compare what is happening in my life and my business relationships, all that stuff now compared to what I thought it would look like, oh, I would be mad at myself. I would be like, this is not what we talked about. This is not it. But it feels more real for me. It feels more true. It feels more authentic. Because I was chasing a lot of romanticizing ideas around, especially in my relationships. You know, I've always been poly, and I've tried to fit myself into these boxes, and it never worked. You know, I've always like been super talented, and I try to fit myself into these smaller networks in order to, you know, make my business or community or whatever work. And it's a practice of now understanding, look, I'm gonna show up with the energy and the time that I have today, and that might look different tomorrow, but it's still true to who I am right now in this moment. So
oh yeah, I mean, I definitely think that with me, it's just been such a long time coming for me. Like, I think I'm the elder of the group, which is kind of funny to me. I was like, because I perpetually still think that I'm like 21 years old. So, you know, it's been ebb and flow. I've made the most money I ever made in my early 20s, and was the most miserable I ever could be at that age.
Wow.
So, you know, I think you're constantly having to reevaluate like what your idea of abundance is, and how that looks with people, and how that looks with yourself. So I'm like always having to enjoy the pivot. Like I thought I was going to be on a resort in some island, and I was going to be in the spa, and that was it. That was my peak. That was like, I've done it. And then, you know, education came, and my spiritual pilgrimage to Thailand came, which turned everything upside down, and it just brought everything down. And so my money gets affected a lot, and so I have to clean house a lot, because I tend to, you know, like Joy, I, you know, sometimes get in relationships that I know that don't serve me, but being a healer and an empath, you attract a lot of narcissists and people who you allow, and you give your power away. So my journey's constantly about like reclaiming my power, understanding my purpose, knowing that purpose changes, and not being attached to the old purpose. And now it's just like things flow easier, And I had to get rid of like a lot of old narratives that I had about abundance and that I had about life in general, and completely open myself up to not letting those old narratives of like my young self, my teenage self, even my Black woman self, like, you know, because we build the cages that we put ourselves in. So I'm like, I won't speak narrative because I'm like, there is no glass ceiling. I only limit myself in my
Right.
mind. And if I keep saying, well, I'm a Black woman, I can't, which was a narrative. And it is hard. Don't get me wrong. I teach on an herbal circuit. There's 7 of us across the country, like 7, like we all know each other. And like, so I know it's hard to get in there, but I had to retrain the narrative and understand what my purpose is. And it's teaching my people's medicine and the stories. And then that opened me up to another whole thing. And I'm like, I had a hard time letting go of spa and things like that also because, you know, that's saved me and of another narrative that kept me as well. So it's this past year, Spirit had to take all of my shit, honestly. It had to level the whole field, all of my shit. And I had to jump and I had to trust in my ancestors, trust in my power, trust in myself. And that was like, it was hard not knowing. I moved during a pandemic to a town, you know?
Right.
So, but like,
sure did.
Yeah, and I cut out someone I never thought I could live without and realized that it was just an old narrative that I had created in order to liberate myself. I had to let those things go. And it's always like letting things go. And it's been a crazy, crazy journey of being broke as shit and then like being in a room with people who like, you know, with the Dalai Lama and like Alice Walker. So it's like a weird thing because I kept not letting what has happened limit me. I kept making sure that I looked forward until I saw it. And now it's exciting at 45 years old that the I given out is like all around me. It doesn't look like I thought it would because I had to break up with that too. But it's so much bigger than I could imagine. My career is going so much bigger than I could imagine because I think we ruin it by like putting those expectations on ourselves instead of just opening ourselves for alignment. Like we don't know.
That's the true
we know
service.
From our limited viewpoint.
Yeah, and that's the true service, right? Is to open ourselves up. I think when we put all of these titles and all of these things onto what our service is, we limit ourselves, and then we also have these expectations that aren't even for us. You know, and that's where it's like you know, they're saying, you know, if you want to, you know, make God laugh, you tell him your plan, because it's truly like, all right, I can say what I believe I am in this limited knowledge I have right now and this limited understanding that I have right now. But that isn't the whole of what I have to offer, and it doesn't look like what I think it's going to look like. So yeah, when you were talking about those narratives, that's big, of letting go those narratives.
And even though we're talking about letting go of narratives, like what are you also bringing in and calling in, like, and how large of a personal practice, including like veneration, you know, of ancestors, like how like in the pie chart of life, you know, like what influences that to aligning and becoming or allowing yourself to open up to become more yourself, you know, while all these other things are kind of rolling in. Like that's something that I think about a lot too. Like, and that's another reason why, you know, it wasn't to knock anybody or any of us saying that we are healers, but, you know, sometimes with titles and things, I have trouble calling myself something like this because I'm afraid of the limitation of, you know, it. But in all honesty, like it's still simpatico, you know what I mean? Like it's still like we're doing the damn thing, we're just being. Being.
I'm more afraid of, or I don't like when I have to call myself something and the people only see me as that.
Exactly. You know? That's a limit.
And now our relationship is just built upon that.
On the thing that you're,
right. It's so many other things beyond that. And so now when you see me outside of that, now it's like, oh my God, I don't know that person.
Right, right.
Like, no.
Like, oh, you're in your street clothes.
Right,
Like,
right.
no, I'm a whole being, you know what I mean? Like, your gifts go where you go, your ancestral knowledge and your gifts go where you go. And, you know, oftentimes I'm following those. Like, those are the things that are keeping the doors open for me. And those are also the doors that are like, you have to let this go in order to walk through this door. If you want to go through this door, you know, like that's the drive or the pull or something for me. Yeah.
Yeah, mine's probably three-fourths practice of ancestors and spirit. Like, there are things I want to do that look good on paper, but I can't do them. And when I don't listen, it's like, oh.
Right. It's like tap, tap, tap. Hello.
But it's crazy how people, you know, like, especially with social media, like, people have this impersonation of who they think I am all the time. And I'm always like, you know, I definitely represent myself 100% everywhere, but people only want to see a certain part. And like, the fancy big hair, glitter lip Beyonce of herbalism. And so like sometimes I show up in like yoga pants and a t-shirt and I have a top knot and people are like, wait, what's happening? I was like, what's happening? Like, oh no, you got to wear your hair out. You're known for your hair. And that's when I'm like, oh, I'm going to cut it all off. You know, I'm like,
yeah, that was a big one for me when I cut my locks, right. Or even when I went from like unwrapping my hair to just wearing my locks. It was just like, it's all these, and I transition, I flow with where I am. So if I feel like I need to like release some things in order to be more present where I am, I would do that. And so I look different from everywhere that I've moved. Yeah. So if you knew me out west, you don't know me in here because I look different. I feel different. I vibrate different, and I have to I have to because I have to. That's the flow of my ancestors. They migrated from the south up north and made it happen.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So I have to continue to move and flow wherever I am and grow. And that's just who I am, you know? Yeah. So it's just, but again, if I was to hold on to that narrative of, oh, I got to stay here, I got to make it, I got to, you know, which if that's your story, but it's not mine. It's not mine. And it stifles me to do that.
I know. It's crazy how it's like people want to stifle you and put you in like just this box. And like, I'm such a multi-layered person. Like anybody who knows me, I listen to trap music. I smoke cigars. I do meditate. My playlists are crazy. Like I represent that full circle, but people see like this Zen, you know, part of myself. And I'm like always trying to teach from like vulnerability and authenticity. Cause I'm like, you don't want to be a social media person, but like sometimes like there's things that, you know, I remember this one lady, she posted that I'm not something that I said, it was really minor or something I posted. And it was like, basically, I'm not a good guru or mentor. And I was like,
maybe not for you.
I mean, like, what does that even mean though? Like,
I mean, it's just what people expect. Like, you know, and it's so weird when people come at you like that so much from social media who don't even really particularly know you. So it's interesting as, you know, your platform gets bigger and bigger and how people perceive you. And then I don't care because like, if you really follow me, you just be like, and when you beat me, I'm just, you know, but you know, it's the roles that people give you that you have to keep claiming your own space and your own narrative. And that's why it's so important. I feel like as I've gotten older, it's just keep claiming who I am and not letting people fill in the blanks about that.
Yes, I've always told people don't put me on a pedestal that I can't twerk on. Absolutely. And I can't do yoga on. Like don't do that. Like because I will surprise you. You know, I mean, you can be disappointed, but that ain't got nothing to do with me. So because I didn't told you.
Right.
So yeah, it's
100%.
Really, I mean, in real life and social media, whatever. I mean, we have so many different experiences, not only in, you know, in our Black women, gender fluid bodies, whatever you identify, or like, but also as a spiritual being, like living in this existence, you know, like I've decided that my purpose now is just to live, just simply that, like, that's my purpose, is to live in its fullness, to be fulfilled in all the things that I do. You know, to seek in my pleasure and my joy and those things that are going to, you know, make me feel full. And so those things aren't going to look like all wrapped up all the time.
Yeah.
It's just not.
It gets messy and then it comes together, I promise.
Mm-hmm.
Then it gets messy and then it come back together.
Mm-hmm.
But you just have to make sure, I think, is celebrating yourself every step of the way. I've worked with people for like over 25 years and like interviewed multimillionaire women and like people with these businesses, and I always ask them the question, are you proud of yourself? Maybe 3 have said yes.
Wow.
25 years of working with tons of multimillionaires, all the things that look good on paper. So that made me understand that you have to set your idea of abundance. You have to set your idea of joy, and your passion can become your poison quickly.
Yeah,
right, totally.
that passion is addictive as hell. Addictive as hell. I just tweeted that earlier today. Like, that's some addictive shit.
Yeah, like your purpose, and like if you don't celebrate it, like I even have some of my herbalist friends who, when we get together, like, I don't want to talk about herbs, and I'm like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I don't want to ever be like that. And I've been around people who teach, who have attendants, who assistants or whatever they want to call them to make themselves feel better, that keep people away from them.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're in public and like they walk through, and I don't want to be like that through any part of this, because it's the things that brought me joy. So you have to constantly go, what brings me joy and what am I doing?
Acupuncture. I don't know if this is different. Like I'm still not licensed yet. I'm not practicing yet. But the times that I have seen people within like the settings that I've been in, it is. I guess I just haven't been out there yet, and so I'm starting to like figure out my own boundaries in terms of even um, being more selfish with my own personal time, so that I do still find that like grace and joy and ease when I'm meeting other people at whatever energetic level we all are on any given day. And I think that is something that I kind of keep coming back to too, like, how am I going to be able to sustain this type of practice? Because what I'm about to offer here in Greensboro isn't here yet, so I feel like it's a positive shift, and it's something that I want to see within the city that I'm in right now. But that requires a lot of also, I think, personal time for me. And I'm a person, I think is it an introverted extrovert or an extroverted introvert?
Mm-hmm.
I can turn my extrovertedness on and off at will. But like when it's just me, or I'm like on vacation, I'm really just like soaking it all in. I'm a totally different type of sponge. Like when I'm just like, this is, it was so nice to be with both of you down there and just like enjoy just walking around, and like, it recharged me for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to get ready for this.
Yeah. I mean, I would say, like, as we were talking about, staying open to that changing and that looking different, because it does, we like this, like we were just saying, it can, the more we open ourselves up to this service, the more we allow for that change and that shift to happen. So, yeah, and the balance, it looks different. I know when I was there, I was a lot more out and about and in community than I had been in a lot of other places. And where I am now, I'm like, I don't go hardly anywhere right now. And that'll probably look different, later on. But I think it's just like we said, just tending to ourselves in the present and what we need and what is coming to us in the service, and not forcing anything. That's a major lesson for me as well. Not forcing, like I have to be in the midst of everything or doing something when nothing is happening right now. That's the rest period. That's that play period.
It is. It's rest and play totally right now, especially because there's also been like a small career shift for me as well, which is a great thing. All 3 of you know about this, but like, writing the comic and the cartoon, and it's just been like, yeah, this is another passion of mine. This is something that I'm good at. And, I found my helpmate, my teammate for that, and so there's been avenues of breakthrough with all of that. And so that's another thing that I'm looking forward to. And it also kind of shifted like how I show up as any type of like medicine woman within the community too. Like, I can still do this while I'm focusing on this and still finishing this. So it doesn't have to all look like cookie cutter or you know, like by white American standards on paper. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we're multifaceted. We can be all kinds of we can be all of it.
And
Again, no limits. Yeah.
Praying for multiple streams of income and seeing how fast. That's the thing about not claiming one narrative also. It's like, I can be this and this. Both things can be true. And then when you have these other streams of income, it takes that impact off. And so the community work can come in instead of all hustle. Right. But when I got started, I was at every networking event, every single thing. I learned to network fast, you know, always, you know, business cards to business cards. So like I've done years of that, and it's real beautiful to finally see the seeds coming to harvest. Like if somebody's like, you have to, you know, apply to teach at something, I'm like, what? You don't know who I am.
Like, Google me, why don't you? Just Google me.
Right, for real.
But, you know, I still know that I have to, you know, do certain things that get me into different rooms, and it's okay. Like I'm fine with that. I love networking. You know, I'm an introverted extrovert. People think I'm an extrovert, but I'm really not. Like, you know, I go to ashrams for 10 days of silence just to get away from people. Like, you know, like I go to the extreme to just be by myself where I don't have to talk to anybody. I've lived on 30 acres alone. Like, you know, I can do it, and I enjoy it when I'm there because I'm passionate about my craft, and I'm passionate about meeting other people who are. So in the beginning, you do have to do that and kind of like claim these different narratives. And I trained myself to be very good at it. Yeah. And really interesting things happen. So those are things that you have to like kind of do in the beginning to meet the community, to trust the community, but you can make it fun. And so that's the biggest thing, is just making it fun. And sometimes I did push myself to go to something I didn't want to do, and it ended up being like the best thing ever that I could. Yeah. Because I was like, okay, it's my introverted self speaking right now that wants to have pajamas on, you know, or do I need to? Yeah. And so there's a way to
the line too. Like to, you know, what is really showing up for you, and what is like, okay, no, I have to force it. It's just paying attention to those different energies.
Exactly.
Because I've definitely been the person that, like, when I was doing retreats and stuff, like with hundreds and hundreds of people, I've been the one to, in between sessions, I would be in the sister tent somewhere hiding off, because that's how I had to keep my energy
recharge,
or recharge myself. Because I'm a highly introverted person. There's no extrovert in me whatsoever. Like, I can turn up, but you know, I'm gonna turn down just as much, because I give all I got, and then I gotta recharge back up. So,
yeah. I think that's a good piece too, that I wish like my teenage and early 20 self had known. Like anything that I might even trying to be like forcing like a square peg into a round hole is something that you just let go. Like anybody on any part of their journey, especially like young viewers watching right now, like if you're forcing it, just like it's not aligning. That's kind of the bottom line, you know. So, and I wish like myself now, I wish I could have told my younger self that. What I know now is like, oh, drop that shit, drop that hot bag of shit.
I have been in this practice of going back. I used to laugh at the inner child work until this year.
Yeah.
So like I've been spending a lot of time going back to these certain things, and you know, and telling her, like being like, you know, dude, we're gonna get this. We got this. This is what's gonna happen. Yeah. And so I feel like the vibrations of that vibrate forward, you know, into like your current self. So that's been such a big part of my practice of unlooping those narratives, is going back to those baby girls and being like, oh, we're going to have a young life. We're going to meet people. We're going to do these things and travel. And, you know, and you pull her forward and hold her deep.
Yeah.
Somebody said they are definitely proud. They pushed through and did. I'm proud you did too. What did you say here? I pushed forward out of my comfort zone and did something I didn't want to do. Yay! That's kind of fun. I'm excited about that. What's up, Whistle House Farm? Bourbon in your cup today. What is everybody drinking? We forgot to talk about that.
I know.
Oh gosh.
I had my Tuesday tea mug, but the magic is it's just about gone because the tea is gone. I had ginger green tea today.
What you drinking, Erica?
Nothing for me today. I have no drink, nothing near me.
Funny. What about you, Joy?
I just got back from dinner and guzzled water. My AC went out in my apartment, so that's why I'm chilling in my car. I was in the AC in here, but it was lots of water today. Yeah.
Oh my god. I'm drinking Clarion. It's a Haitian rum.
Yum,
Juice today.
delicious.
And my Tuesday tea and bourbon, but my drink is cold, so you can't see my magic happening. I was like, it's too hot for a hot cocktail. I mean, a hot cocktail.
Yes. The weather is so trash.
Oh yeah,
It's going through its thing right now.
I know. Soursop leaf tea. They have a soursop cocktail version of this at this Haitian restaurant that I love. That's here in NOLA. So that's kind of interesting. I love when you blend the medicinals with the libations together. That's one. I'm like,
oh my god, I'm Haitian cocktails.
Yo, Joy, do you remember the soursop drink that we got at the
Sweet Soul? Yeah, we had some good stuff. We had some good. I'm still
delicious.
like
I know.
Ready to go back?
Man, so I'm like, trying to figure that out.
I could live here for like a couple months of like during the spring.
let these next grants go through. That's what I'm looking for my art and writing.
Yeah.
And play, because I'm be doing a lot of that.
I know. Grants are such a great way to like do the work and those kind of things. It makes you feel so much better. It's like it took so long to get one, and now you figure out how to access that money. Like when I've been doing nonprofit work on my own and seeing clients since I was 18, but it's all been self-funded. So now that was another way of abundance for me. You talked about earlier, Joy, about what helps. I think it's sometimes like though you don't care to be seen, being seen adds something to it. Like being seen about your work and like understanding like when you apply for these grants and you apply for these things to be able to have a little grace and ease to continue to doing the work, but to see yourself being paid for it, like cutting yourself a salary for it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Like there's so many levels to abundance right now. Like multiple streams of income. I don't believe in monetizing everything you love. People are all like, about that all the time. I'm like, I gotta have, when you're in the wellness industry and you're an artist and that's where you make your money, like normal things don't apply because you're like, oh, I'm doing yoga. Oh, this will be great in a retreat. Or,
right.
That's what I wish I would have told myself in my younger. Don't feel like you have to monetize everything.
That's what I've been like holding on. And I was gonna say, like, I feel like I'm in the stage, or a lot of people in this area are like in the stage where you have to slow down because there becomes an exploitation of your passions. And that is so draining after a while, where you're like, I am exploiting every part of me, and like none of this even feels authentic anymore. Like I'm just doing it because I'm trying to make money, and as a result you're not even making money from it. It's like you're exploiting it and you're not even making the money from it. So a lot of the reteaching that I've had to do is like going back to my younger self, like Lucretia was saying earlier, and being like, look, you don't have to be disappointed anymore. Like you can show up as yourself and people can love you as yourself. They can love your art for what it is. And you don't have to exploit anything anymore in order for you to attract the people who are going to love this. Like people are just going to love it because you love it and you're speaking about it. So do that. Do more of that. So it's been interesting.
Or tell people to go create their own fucking art.
If you don't like it here.
Serious. I think that's such a difference between not aligning, like having something not align and letting it move on versus pushing past your comfort zone, because pushing past your comfort zone, like your spirit wants you to align in this way. And so it's going to, kind of happen in organic ways for you. But like, that's different. Being exploited is completely like not it. That ain't it.
Oh God, I did that. And your health suffers.
Yeah.
It really truly suffers. I've already gone through that phase in my career where I gave everything, not only in my business life and my personal life. And like in my personal, like, so when you're like 24/7 being a healer, it's like now when I moved here to New Orleans, I realized I had so much grief I have just shoved somewhere to help other people that I had to allow myself to love myself deeper, the moments to heal from it. I was like, oh, you know, I've lost 6 people over, you know, these past 2 relationships, but it's been about holding space for everybody else. I'm like, so and so's this and that, my client. And so it was like this really vicious game that I was like, okay, how much can I neglect myself and still want to talk about self-love? But I teach what I constantly have to hear. And so like setting boundaries at this point, like I can't help it. My body will reject my, you know, like where I am if I'm not listening. And like that's why I study, you know.
Or even like the rejecting or placing boundaries around like forcing those clients that like I was talking about earlier, like if someone rejects that self-care, before I used to like force that, be like, okay, but don't you feel like you gotta, and you know, or just like forcing myself into these spaces where people don't want to take care of themselves. So now it's like, and that was hard, stressful on me, you know, having a whole space for people that don't want to hold space for themselves.
You're like, I'm up at night wondering if you eating your greens and you're out there picking it up, and like it's real. But then like sometimes I pull this one card in my deck, and it's like this monkey, you know, this man holding a monkey on a balloon that they're gonna pop, like juggling, and it's also like, why are you so narcissistic? Yeah, it is. It's a stress card. And it also asks, why are you so narcissistic that you think the world will fall apart if you don't show up? And I was like, damn. And then another, that part. And then at the ashram, you know, it was so much learning is that you're causing more karmic debt to people by doing that. Like they have to pay that back because you're giving.
Oh man.
So yeah, that part.
Those were hard lessons.
Reason, that got me faster than anything. And you're keeping them from their journey and their lesson by using it. And so those are 2 things that really helped me be able to better prioritize where my energy was. The saddest thing is to be a healer and watch people drown in 3 inches of water. When you're like, stand up.
It's true.
Just stand up.
Those were hard lessons. Yeah, those were hard lessons, especially when it was like people that, you know, this is one of like the boundaries of like, you know, being discerning about helping like friends and family in that way too, because you're so close, you know, that it would be hard to watch them do that. And one thing that I'll say, like those lessons came really hard for me, you know, like I didn't even like see it as ego, you know, right away, because for me, you know, I was like, I just want to be helpful, I want to be, you know, like you know what I mean, like it didn't compute into this other stuff that I had to like free myself and break from, you know, until like trial and error over and over. And those were like really hard lessons. And then I got really lucky because of the avenue that chose me. It was Chinese medicine, and like going through the schooling and the teaching in that way, where I had teachers, like real master teachers that were telling, you know, not even telling, but teaching and showing like how graceful and easy their life was when they put meditation first for them, you know, like in the practice of qigong and like having that kind of ritualization every day, and being able to just like somehow cultivate centering and balancing in order to actively participate and observe and not absorb, and still like be of service to people in a way that they felt good about, and you could see it and it was effective. And that's exactly what I wanted to learn. I was like a sponge in school, like tell me everything. Like this is awesome.
That's the most beautiful practice. Yeah, that's the most beautiful. And like that's, to me, that is that's the fruit of the practice of like of where we can take away the ego. Because when we get into service, and I'm seeing so many of this happening now with, you know, the wellness industry blowing up around healers and all these different practitioners, it's very self-centered. And I'm not talking about self-centering in a healthy way. I'm talking about that narcissistic centering where it's very grandiose, to where people feel like they have to be people's saviors. And that is the complete opposite of what this wellness practice is really about.
Yes.
It's really centering that inner self as being the healer. So if I'm coming to you and I'm telling you you can't get the medicine through anything but me, you know, that's just creating another colonized religion that we've already been trying to get rid of.
Absolutely.
And so and that's definitely something that I it's part of my, like, going through my own, you know, practice and initiation and things like that, that narrative has crumbled, because I thought that meant, you know, being the teacher that everyone had to come to, or being the, you know, whatever it was. And instead it's like, no, that practice of meditation really does take away that ego, and saying, you know, look, those people that are aligned with the work that I have to give are going to show up. And I'm going to be present for that. And that's just what it is.
Yep. And I'm still going to give you all of the information.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll even show you to the next healer. Like, it doesn't have to be me. It could be somebody else, as long as you receive whatever you need to receive, or do not receive whatever you need to receive in this experience.
Yeah. I break up with clients all the time.
That's healthy to do if it's not, you know, like,
I can only treat who shows up in the room. I know who's showing up in the room, but until you want to admit it, like, I had that so much in this past year with people who, you know, so many times that I just am like, this is not even worth my time. When you're ready to see you can call me back.
See, that is such, I'm realizing that what you just said, Lucretia, is such a difficult thing. That small part, when you are ready to see you. There are so many people who don't even know what that experience is like. Yeah. Don't even know what the half of getting back to them even is.
Yeah.
So that like, I'm learning in this moment, like, that part as like a teacher or healer or cultivator of creativity, like, that part takes so much grace.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, okay, you know what? A part of the grace practice is me healing myself so that I can be prepared for when you are prepared.
Totally. It's healing your ego. It's dissolving the disillusion of the ego. And then for me, with the practice of Qigong and, you know, trying to cultivate that self, it's also being able to meet people where they're at within their journey, whether that's aligned with my own personal or not. But it also gives me the grace and the wisdom to know when to refer out.
Right, because I'm a spiritual gangster.
Gang, gang.
And I know when you're lying.
Right. And I'm like, I teach openness and communication and boundaries. And so when you don't show up and you don't communicate and you don't, I'm like, what else could I do?
I can take your money all day long, but at some point I don't even want money, because then I have to sit here and bear witness to this hot mess every time you want to call me. And I'm like, well, refer back to your first session where we talked about this, your second, third, 7th, 14th session. And I'm like, you're just not, I mean, I call you out because that's the only way I've learned. And I feel like I'm in the practice that can. So I kind of like, you have no choice.
Seriously. And
I keep
and calls off the clock are getting tabbed from now on. Calls off the clock, we're counting.
That's why I'm like,
you already know you can't get to me. You can't get to me without making an appointment.
Those are great boundaries that I just learned from you both this past weekend. You know, like, when clients, their idea of an emergency and your idea of an emergency are two different things.
Absolutely.
And, you know, people don't have respect for your time. And I was like,
I don't put out little fires. I can't do that. I can't put out little fires for everybody, because I'm trying to teach you how to put out your own and put boundaries around your fence, so you don't get all these little fires. Yeah. So let's not do that. Let's do this on the right time, on the time that's aligned.
And in my creative practice, I've even put a fee beforehand. I'm like, listen, I could put out your fire, but you're going to have to pay this fee so I can see whether or not you're showing up for yourself. If you're not ready to show up for yourself, then you're not ready to show up for me. And the fee is the difference.
That fee, it does. It
automatically,
it vets people out, right? It just vets
people out. Immediately. They're like, can you? I'm like, sure. Here's the plan.
My Cash App.
Let me know when you're ready.
My link is
right.
I still teeter-totter and fight with that one so much, you know, like back and forth, but I'm really like, people like, I want to talk to you, and I'm like, okay, here's my Cash App and here's my consultation price. Mm-hmm. And like some of them won't contact me back because they just think that I'm just like, for free. Your intellectual property's for free. Your knowledge is for free. And I have that problem with some of my clients who are wealthy. They see their business, even though I'm there to like pick them up when they burn and fall apart, but they see their abundance so much more important than my time. And I was like, you know, and that's been consistently over several years, and it keeps showing up in so many different ways. Like, oh, you think that you deserve to be rich, but, you know, the person who's keeping your shit together to be able to do it only deserves, you know, and be at your beck and call.
I wonder why, though.
That money, period.
That lesson is such a difficult one to overcome, especially like as we're growing. I don't understand why that lesson shows up so much.
Because we still don't get it. It's about self-worth.
Is it about us? It's about our self-worth.
Everything's about us, typically. Like, you chew on it. It might be so big, but only this part is about you. But, like, the situation has to be so big, so you get, like, this little part. It's all about healthy boundaries. And
yeah, I think... Oh, go on.
Yeah, it's definitely about boundaries. It's about people. I get it. People want access, you know, to that light. And so, you know, it is like, you know, understanding I don't want to commodify everything, but what you want from me comes at a cost. It comes at a cost for me and my energy. It comes at a cost for me and my time. It comes at a cost for me and what we're holding, you know, so I have to give you a price for that. And simply on the basis of like, I have to live. I have to live, and this is what I do full time, and so this is how I have to live, and so I have to do that. We got 2 minutes on this one, y'all. They timed me on this one.
Protect your magic and protect your paper. You know what I'm saying? Like,
magic, protect your paper.
Protect it, because I mean, I also think too, like, just for my last note is like the things around money and what we're owed and what we're worth. That is what is the ongoing healing process. When you are, you know, like have ancestral lineage of enslaved people for money, that's something that's so deeply embedded that we have got to like start really like pulling that back, healing those tender roots, you know, replanting them into something that is of wealth and abundance on our terms and our call. And that is something that is unprecedented. We're the ones that are groundbreaking that and bridge building that in our time right now. Yeah. And so I think that is what a lot of the work is, you know, currently, especially when we're talking about what to monetize and what not to, what is of value and what isn't for ourselves, because it is all about us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Love. We got 50 seconds. Y'all got quick teas?
I love y'all.
My ladies have said everything that needs to be said. Love you guys.
See you next week. Y'all be here next week for the next Tuesday tea. If you missed it, it will be in my IG live. It will also be on my YouTube. Y'all get the link. And love, peace, love.
Thank y'all for coming.
Yeah.
Bye, guys.
Bye.